Tommy. It's good to be back in the studio.
It's good to be back in the saddle again,
Why don't
Joy.
you tell everybody about our upcoming trip?
Well, we're on our way to Australia, and Jamie, part of our crew here, spent some time there, which we just found out.
No kidding, mate.
Yeah. So we're very excited. It's going to be our first time, after being in this business for 30 years. The question always comes up, have you been to Australia yet? And now we can say yes.
Well, what's interesting about it is people are saying, oh my gosh, how long is that flight? Well, I actually choose my trips by where I can get the longest flights. So just to give you an overview of this, you fly 4 hours to LA, we have a 5-hour layover, and then it's 15 hours nonstop from LA to Sydney.
That's right.
So it's not for the faint of traveling.
Right.
But we are trying the new business class service. That's a new service of Delta's from LA to Sydney. And they have these fully reclining little pod kind of seats in business class, first class. So we'll make sure we get some good footage for you and tell you what the best seats are on those.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you ask an Australian how long is it from Sydney to LA, they say 3 meals, 2 movies, and a poop. So anyway, it's going to be a long, fun trip.
And why don't you highlight some of the things we're going to do there?
Well, they're taking it's a meeting that we're doing for a consortium that we're associated with, and it's all in Sydney. So we're going to get a good overview of Sydney. We're staying at the Shangri-La Hotel, which is supposed to be very nice. We're doing the Harbor Bridge climb, which
I
know this could be a little. And they breathalyze you before you go. So
are you kidding?
You're out of luck. and so we're gonna. That's like a 3.5-hour climb.
Are you serious? They breathalyze you?
That's what I heard.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So they're serious. Well, that sounds dangerous then if you can't do it drunk.
Yeah. So anyway, and then we're going to the Blue Mountains, which is just a couple hours out of Sydney, a day trip, and that's supposed to be very beautiful. They call them.
Speaking of wine, Deborah, and Jamie probably knows this as well. I mean, Australian wine is really coming on worldwide.
Absolutely. So we've got that to look forward to. They're taking us to a rugby game at the Olympic Stadium.
I've never seen a rugby game. I'm kind of excited about that.
Well, it's a crazy game.
I'm a big sports fan, as most people know.
We know, Vampire Lady. And then we have a private dinner at the Opera House. So it's just a 3-night meeting, but they're going to cram a lot into those 3 days. It should really be nice.
And then when we're there on our own, we're going to make sure we go to the zoo, which is
I hear the zoo's excellent.
The weather allows. I'd like to at least play 18 holes.
Yeah, well, we can always make time for that.
But we should talk about talking about long flights and comfort. There is something new when you can't quite necessarily justify the cost of business or don't have enough frequent flyer points. One of the things that they have just started June 1st is Coach Comfort. And this is brand new, and everyone should know about this.
Your parents just are taking advantage of that as we speak.
As a matter of fact, they're on a European river cruise right now from Zurich to Amsterdam. And my father's 85 and my mother is 80, and I just think it's inspiring to think that you can still go out there and see the world. Some of my youngest clients are in their 80s, though. But in any case, this has really changed a lot of people's paradigm about flying to Europe, because it's between coach and business. It gives you 4 more inches of leg room, 50% more recline. You board first, and besides just beer and wine in your meal, you can also have spirits, hard spirits. So you can have that scotch and water and not have it cost you $10. And it's only $80 more.
That's incredible.
And it's on most transatlantic flights and trans-Pacific flights. But I think once it catches on, it's really going to go fast. So if you're scheduled to go to Europe right now, and it's from any class of service that you can upgrade to this, which is
how many seats are designated for that?
You know, Tom, now that I'm 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, about 25.
Oh.
So it's small as well.
That's going to be a hot ticket.
Yeah. But I think that's really new news. The other news that I really want to make sure people know about is that spring break for all Michigan schools is the first week in April, and it's sold out. So if you're thinking you want to go someplace over that period of time, you need to call Classic Travel or somebody that you know in the travel business immediately and get your reservations for that.
Yeah, well, those hot dates, Christmas time, the same thing. If you're thinking about it, do it.
Yeah. So as far as what's new in the travel world, you need to stay tuned. You can watch us online, and if you've got a story to tell, We'd like to have you on the show.
Absolutely.
So you can either reach me at joy@classictravelusa.com or anyone over at Cam TV. Just shoot us an email, and we'd love to have you come on, tell your story.
Please
so,
do.
Tom, we're going to have to come right back and see what we can find out for our viewers for the next update segment.
All right, great.
All right, we'll be back right after this.
On beautiful summer days, you surely would like to spend them outside. Sleepy Hollow State Park in Langsburg offers various activities for you to enjoy. Nicole Parker works at Sleepy Hollow State Park and explains what there is to do in detail.
Sleepy Hollow is a great little park. We have 2,700 acres. We have 11 miles of hiking and biking trails, 6 miles of horse trails, a really cool disc golf course inspired me to try. I've never tried it. We have a beach that has a nice dock for fishing off of for kids, and we have a fishing pier also to fish off of. And we have giant muskies in here for all you fishermen, and I guess if you love wildlife, it's a great place to be. We also offer an outreach program for kids. Stephanie does a great job. She sets up a fur table and will tell you fun tidbits about it all for your kids. She offers night hikes and campfire rings for everyone to sit around. And there's also fishing on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 6:30 where you can learn to fish, your kids can. For all parks in the state of Michigan now, you can buy a recreational passport for $10 and it'll get you into any state park for the entire year if you're a Michigan resident.
You may also rent boats through Don's Party Store. The boats are already at the park. You just need to call ahead to make a reservation. For more information, visit michigan.gov/sleepyhollow.
Hi, I'm excited again to have Faith Sutkiss from Royal Caribbean with us, and thanks so much for supporting the show.
It's our honor and pleasure, Joy.
Now tell us though, one of the most exciting travel destinations in the world is Alaska, and I've always changed my paradigm the first time I went when I realized that you have to do a cruise to really see Alaska. So tell us what Royal Caribbean has to offer in Alaska.
Joy, Royal Caribbean has, I think, the ultimate way to experience Alaska, both by land and sea. We have two of the most incredible vessels gracing the waters of Alaska. We have the Radiance of the Seas and the Rhapsody of the Seas.
That's my favorite sort of size ship of yours. I know the big ones are really exciting,
Yes.
and I would do that with my family.
Right.
But I've had groups on the Radiance. They're large, but they still have sort of a yacht feel to them.
Exactly. They're large enough that they can give you all of the wonderful amenities on board that Royal Caribbean is known for, but give you the intimacy that you need to experience Alaska in. The Radiance class ships that we have in Alaska, Joy, have over 50,000 acres. That's 50,000 acres of glass.
Oh my gosh,
What an
I didn't
amazing-
realize that.
Isn't that an amazing concept? When you're thinking about going to Alaska, who wants to be walled off with walls and not be able to see the scenery?
Well, and the thing about Alaska is you're always in view of land.
Ex-
So there's always, not only that, but it's light until midnight.
Exactly.
So there's always something to see.
Well, for example, in our elevators for that 50-acre of glass experience, you're not walled in. You're open to see all of the scenery and sights and not miss 1 second.
Yeah.
Because you
That's
know.
significant now that you're
Yes.
talking about that, because you always feel surrounded by beauty. I mean, Alaska is one of those destinations that you really have to see to really understand what we're talking about.
Absolutely. In addition, you had asked me, what do we have to offer? In addition to those two beautiful ships, we have cruise tours. So we're mixing the best of both worlds, from a cruise experience and from a land experience. And we have 21 different land experiences, we call them cruise tours, to mix up with that sea experience.
Well, I have something to say that I think is really significant for the traveling public. I have a colleague that does Alaska Bound. She sells Alaska worldwide. She's one of the biggest sellers. And she said that Royal Caribbean has the best ground operators, including back when Cruise West was still in business. So I think people always think that Holland America and Princess, because they've been in Alaska longer,
Right.
have the best ground operators, when in fact it's Royal Caribbean.
It's a secret that we want to uncover really quickly.
I'm glad we talked about it.
I am too. All of our tour directors are native Alaskans. We're not importing. And the hotels and the trains and all of the different experiences are just second to none in Alaska.
Yeah. Well, I remember last year I took my parents. It was my parents' 60th anniversary and my mom's 80th birthday. And I had to take them kicking and screaming to Alaska. And I'll never forget cruising around in Glacier Bay and my father saying, I could die here. This is just so beautiful. So please go. There are some wonderful values too that Royal Caribbean has. So if you can give a call to Classic Travel or any of your local travel agents.
Absolutely.
In the fall, also you get a little color.
Oh, the fall, I think it's the most exciting time to see not only the color, but to see the wildlife. Think about
Things
it.
are on sale too.
Oh,
and
yes.
the art
Oh,
is
very good
fantastic
point.
in Alaska.
Yes,
So
yes.
maybe we'll get Deborah on one of your ships this fall for sure.
Maybe we should escort her.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Faith. And if you don't mind, we'd like to make sure that you talk about Europe and some of the other exciting things.
It would be
So,
my pleasure.
Good. Well, we'll see you back here.
Sounds great.
And we'll be back right after this.
If you haven't donated blood before, or it's been a long time since you have donated, please come out. 97% of us will either need blood or know someone who needs blood in our lifetimes. That's almost all of us. Plus, blood is used for premature infants, patients battling cancer, people with sickle cell anemia, as well as many others. Did you know that less than 5% of the eligible population, meaning those that would be good candidates to donate blood, actually do? That's about 95% of people who could donate that aren't doing it. You never know when you or someone you love will need blood. Blood is perishable and only has a shelf life of 42 days. You can donate every 56 days, 6 times a year. Please come out and donate and give the gift of life.
Well, I'm delighted today to have Susan McGillicuddy, the supervisor of Meridian Township, with us today. And it's interesting when we started this show how many avid travelers and how many interesting travel stories there are out there. And thank you for coming down today because this is an exciting travel adventure, which is bicycling. Why don't you just tell us how you started bicycling worldwide and some of your favorite adventures?
We started Ireland, and we did that when our children were younger. And we started out doing family bicycling trips. And so Ireland was our first adventure, and we wanted to go somewhere where they spoke English in case we got lost or the kids got lost, and to go see some roots from the family early
How old
on.
were your children?
I think Kara was probably in high school, so she was older, but the son was still in grade school at the time.
Wow. So with that range of, say, physical abilities, all of you were able to participate in a bicycle trip. Was it an official organized bicycle trip, or did you just go over and rent bikes and take off?
It was official. It was through International Bicycle Tours.
So what was the itinerary?
We started down at the very south. We started out at Castletown Bear, and we rode all the way up to way past Killarney.
My gosh.
Yeah. So it was a long route. Most of the days we bicycled 60, 70 miles.
Oh my gosh. And where do you stay? Do you stay in inns or B&Bs at the end of the day?
With that tour, it was both hotels and B&Bs.
And do you have a guide that sort of coaches you about the region as you're biking?
That tour did a little bit. They gave us history and what had happened, and then they gave us a map and said, there's 3 different routes you can take, pick
Oh my
one, and
gosh.
off you go.
Oh, so you're not on a structured route the entire
No.
time?
No, not at
Oh.
all. It was wonderful.
So what do you mind my asking, what if a family of 4 wanted to do something like that, Susan? What kind of a price range should they plan for?
Well, they can go cheap. You can go on a tour where they do camping, and I've certainly done that. I did that in Glacier National Park out in Montana with my
Wow.
daughter. And so we camped every night, and they set up the tents for you, and you just camp. And those can be a lot less expensive for a family, and there are some specific for families as well. So you're probably talking $800 to $1,000 for a camping trip
Per person?
per person.
That's pretty reasonable.
That isn't bad at all, especially if you stay stateside. Once you go
Wow.
international, though, it's a lot
Well,
more
and you've got
expensive.
airfares as well.
Exactly.
And speaking of going internationally or even going out to Montana, do you take your own bike or do they provide you with bikes?
Well, you can do either. I typically rent the bicycles from them because it's a lot to cart your own bike. You can
Yes.
take it apart, but now the airlines are charging you horrendous fees to take them. You can ship them ahead of time if you know where you're going to be staying, and they'll receive the bike
But
a
that's
couple
still
days.
expensive.
It is. And it used to be you could take your bike with you on a plane for $15 to $25, and that's not the case anymore.
And when you go on a trip like that, how do you pack for it? I mean, do the outfitters take your luggage or your clothing and so forth ahead for you so that you don't have to have that on your bike? Or on the camping
Yeah.
trips, is everyone responsible to cart something?
Well, generally they have what they call a sag wagon, and it will take your luggage for you. But we always take duffel bags, and we roll everything up. We're taking bicycling clothes. We carry our helmets with us and 1 day's worth of bicycling clothes with us. We have, when my husband and I were doing Provence, it was right after some flooding had happened there, and we learned from that experience. We didn't have our helmets or anything, and I was bicycling in a skirt and Birkenstocks for 3 days.
Oh my God.
It was
I'd
not
like to,
fun.
Could we get those pictures up on the... But you did it.
But we did it, and it was raining, and the skirt was denim, and of course it was
Oh my
soggy.
God. Heavy.
It was heavy, and it was warm, but we were bicycling through 3 feet of water with our bicycles. And that was scary because you couldn't see where you were bicycling. So we literally had to be one in front of the other all the way through parts of Provence.
My gosh.
But then once we hit the hills, we were okay. We were out of it, and by that time our luggage finally made it.
And the thing is, you always, I think my husband always said this, whatever you live through makes for a good travel story. Sometimes the things that are so menacing are the things that you talk about more.
That's
because
right.
they were so emotional. So what was your favorite, if you had to pick one?
Oh, I loved Italy. It was wonderful. We bicycled the wine country. We were in Chianti. And
Where did you start out, like in Florence or further in?
Oh, no, we started in Gaio de Chianti. And I brought in some pictures to our
Excellent.
studio, so hopefully they'll have those for you. And it was very hilly. We bicycled to Volterra. That was very challenging, Volterra, because it's sitting on top of a very steep hill, a mountain actually. And I think that trip was 40 miles that day, and it was all mountain riding.
Oh my gosh.
The downhills were fabulous, and you couldn't wait to get to one, and it was like 16 miles down. But the straight up was very hard on the legs.
I don't know how you can do that. I mean, do you train?
Yes, you have to. Now, if you got tired, you could take a van the rest of the way up if you wanted. And Volterra was the only city that I actually did take the van the last 3 miles up.
You just felt like you'd had enough.
I had had enough that day, and it was a very long day that day. We had bicycled to San Gimignano and some other fabulous cities.
Well, those are all those little hill
country, and it's hill country, and it was very hard bicycling the hills, but the scenery was wonderful. The food was fabulous, and that's the one thing we love traveling, bicycling, is you can eat and drink when you're done.
Good point,
and
because you're going to work it off.
Exactly, and you come back and you haven't gained an ounce. In fact, sometimes you've lost weight, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, well, and you're eating such good food, at
Yes.
least in a lot of countries other than the U.S., a lot of produce and
That's right.
healthy organic wines and oils, and that, especially in Italy, huh? And that
Oh,
good red
Italy.
wine, which is good for you.
Italy was great. Spain and Portugal were also wonderful. And what we learned in Spain and Portugal is we loved the octopus.
Oh, really?
We had never tried it before, and they serve it. They called it pulpo. And it's hot and spicy, and we love hot, spicy food. So we really enjoyed it. And it's served kind of raw. And it was wonderful. But the views
But
there.
eating is also part of traveling,
Oh,
isn't
yes.
it? I mean, it's part of the culture, part of the fun.
Oh, yes. But the people are wonderful. And what I enjoy doing is talking to the locals. And so I always try to learn enough of the language that I can actually speak to them somewhat. And Italian and Spanish aren't that different. Same with Portuguese. I can get around just fine talking to people. And we did get lost on Portugal early on. We took a wrong turn. And we had a fabulous time talking to people.
Getting lost
and
is
getting
always
back.
fun.
And I enjoy that, so I'm not afraid to talk to people.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think that's what you get from travel too, is that it's not as frightening as you think. In closing, just to encourage people to get out there, Susan, do you have some thoughts you'd like to share with people?
the United States is a beautiful country. If you haven't seen Glacier National Park, it's wonderful on a bicycle, especially on a camping tour. You can stay in hotels out there, and we did that one also with Backroads. Get a tour and do it. You'll never regret that you've spent that time with your family and enjoy the world in a different way.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come down here today and share what I think is really a up-and-coming way of traveling, especially for active travelers. And I'll look forward to hearing about your stories in the future as well.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you so much. And we'll be back right after this.
Okay, the blood drive is in a few days. Here's what you need to do to prepare your body for the best donation experience possible.
Start stocking up on iron-rich foods like green leafy vegetables, lean meats, nuts, and berries. Here's a list of iron-rich foods that you can eat. Also, avoid fatty foods a day or so before you plan to donate. Be sure to get a good night's sleep before donation day. Drink plenty of non-caffeinated beverages like juice or water before and after you donate. Be sure you eat breakfast, and don't forget about lunch if you plan to donate in the afternoon.
Thanks for your help with the life-saving mission of the American Red Cross.
You are a hero.
I have a tip for you today: discounts. Did you know that Royal Caribbean International offers discounts for military? It's our way to say thank you for your service. We also offer discounts to our firefighters and our police officers. See your local travel agent, and they will be able to describe to you all the different sailing opportunities and the discounts that are available to you. Now, Royal Caribbean International also offers discounts to residents. Depending on where you live, you can realize a discount on your cruise just because you live in a certain city. Don't forget to mention to your agent that you are either a firefighter, military, police for your discount, and also inquire if there's a discount for resident rates.